and the component. What if we wanted to add some formulas to it and how to display it on the component? So with respect to this slide, these two things will be done on the UI builder directly. Okay. So I have a page over here which is not currently having any data. Okay, so I am actually going to show you like how you need to bring in the details over here from this particular content tree panel to the stage and to link it with the data resource. Okay. So first thing what we want is like data resource that needs to be built. So when you click on this particular icon over here, you would be asked to select any one of them, either it would be a data resource, client state, and client script. Okay. Data resource is nothing but it's a table which would be holding the records where you wanted to query or pull those records and list of records that you wanted to show on the UI builder. What is a client state parameter? So whenever we write a script or something, we actually have a variable that is getting defined and we store that particular value in that variable. Similarly, here also they are naming it as like client state parameter, where you can store any value in that to just make sure that you can use it somewhere else on any other resource or any other component. Client scripts are something which we already know. This is something like related to any action event or like a client side response that you need to do. So how we can integrate all these things together is what we are going to see. So now I'll just go ahead and show how a data resource is being created. So when you click on this select data resource, already ServiceNow has given multiple data resources by default, which one you wanted to pick. This is something which is similar to the, like if you worked on the flow designer part where you just look into what you want, like with respect to flow logic or actions or whatever the conditions that want. Similarly, they are also given a list of already preset data sources which can be used. So for our example, let's take that we wanted to pull something like with respect to lookup of records. Okay. So I'm just selecting this data resource and I'm just clicking on add. Once I do that, I will be able to see the data that you need to input with respect to what are the things that you need to fetch from. So here you need to mention the table. And when you mention the table here, it would automatically enable the other fields, which would be asking you to fill in the what are the conditions that you want and how you wanted to order it, if you're going to bring it as a list, or what is the maximum result that needs to be configured here. So with the interest of time, actually, I have already built this particular data source, which is being in the name of instant list. And I have actually added a condition called bring in all the active records with the respective fields like number, short description, state, and SysID. Just adding the 4 columns here, and also what should be the created on, order by, whether it should be descending or ascending, and I'm just giving the maximum results as 10. Okay, so this would query those details, and you can see the results for the first set of 10 record that is coming in here. With the array of record that is over here. So now what we are going to see is how we can link this data to one of the component on the UI builder. So now I'm going to add a component, very simple component called stylish text on the stage over here. And here you could see that by default, it comes up with a default context which is called let's workflow it. So if you wanted to have a static data that needs to be displayed on the UI builder, you can actually edit it. Or if you wanted to bring in from the data source, you have an option called bind. When you click on this bind, it will prompt you like what data you wanted to show it over here. So now we are going with the data resource. We'll select that, and I'm selecting the incident list which we built, and I'm taking only one particular value of the record. So as I've prescribed over there with respect to number, short description, state, and SysID, these are the fields that will only come up on my data source here. I'm going to take it as number, and I'm going to display this record. So once you select all these, like it's kind of a dot walk that you're doing here actually. And once you reach what you wanted to display it on that particular thing, please click on this or double click on this pill. When you click on that, it will automatically show you the path, what you wanted to add, and then you need to click on apply. So now you can see that the record that I've selected is actually showing up. So this is actually how you need to connect a data resource to a component. So any doubts, or would you like to try it on your PDI now with this?
Yeah, we'll try on the PDI.
Okay, yeah.
Project.
Yeah, I'll just give some around 2 to 3 minutes of time, so that, because with the continuation of this, you want me to complete the next one and take it up, or you can try it parallelly also if you want. Sure.
Sucha, can you go back to the instance once,
Yeah, yeah,
please?
sure. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Can you show the bind data that you have explained, right? Can you show that once? Sucha?
Yeah. Is it fine?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone wants to give a try now, or you'll try it later, or shall I move on to the next one?
One question, Sujata. I have selected lookup multiple records. After it's not moving to the next page, like which data source I have to select. If I go for create, it's showing that graphical, transform, client state, composite. Which one I have to select?
No, maybe then you need to share your screen. I need to stop and I have to check. Yeah.
I'm on another computer. Let me.
Okay, or can we connect separately to look onto it?
Yeah, I got it. There is a add button. Are you in which version? Are you in Yokohama? Or
Yeah, I'm in Yokohama. Yeah.
I'm also, but yeah, I got. Oh, I'm in a previous version. Sorry,
Oh,
that's
okay.
I
Okay.
got it. Yeah, it's coming. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So if everyone is fine, shall I just move on to the next?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Fine. So the next one, what we are going to see is the functionality is going to be the same, but the one particular change what we are going to look on is like how to include a formulas. Formulas are nothing but like it's just an like how we concatenate, or how we add, or we just equalize that particular data. So what is available, that how we can concatenate with that, and we can display a data over here. So this is like the same. The procedure would be the same, but what happens is, let me take the same data source here, and I will just remove this condition now. Okay. So I do have formulas on this data. When you try to bind a data from a data resource, you will be having data types and formulas. So whenever you are trying to add a formula, you need to make sure that you're on the formulas tab. First, you need to add the function, what you're going to do. So let's take that I'm going to concatenate two values here. So I'm going to click on this concatenate, and I'm getting a value 1 and value 2 by default. So I'm just going to give a welcome text here, and I'm going to give the name of the person who's been logged in based on the session. So how to get the session value is, when you come to the data type, you have something called page properties, which comes by default when you try to create a page. Here by default, you would be getting all these three pill data, which would be providing you the user logged in details. So under session, you just move on to user, and user, you will have all the fields that is there for the user record. Let's take full name, and similarly you can either click on, you can either do a double click, or you can just click on this arrow and you can apply. So as soon as you do, you will be able to see the context. So this would be a dynamic one based on the logged in user. In this way, you can use the formulas. can just give a try. See, I've just took very simple, just this session being a fundamental, just to know whatever it is, and it should be easy for you also people to understand and do it. I've taken very simple thing. We can do many things in it, but it just takes some time. We cannot complete that on the single call. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, Suja, I think we can continue.
Okay, yeah. So the next one, what we are going to see with the data source is like, we actually was working on this data source alone by building that incident list, and we are trying to use it on the previous two use cases. Now what we are going to do is like, how we can actually connect a client script to a button. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is like, whenever you are using a button on a normal record, like an incident or something, where you just click on it to save, or when you move on to the next, for example, let's take a change record, we have multiple buttons that would be coming, like assess, authorize, whenever you try to move. So similarly, we can also do it over here, but we are not going to bring in any record form here. Instead, I'm just going to update the value on the button itself. So when it just moves on to the next state, or when it just goes to the next state, it will just, you will be able to just see the value changing on this particular button. Now let me go to the UI builder. I'm just going to create a new button below this. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so by default, if you see here, you would be able to see the label name as button. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to bring in some dynamic value on click of this particular button change. Okay? This particular activity is what I'm going to configure. In order to do that, we need to define a client state parameter. I'm going to the client state here, and I'm adding a new parameter, and I'm just giving a name like dynamic value or something. And I'm just giving something like existing value. Now I wanted to list what is the existing value or what is the default value on this button first instead of this label. In order to do that, you have this bind data again. Click on that. Instead of data source, go to client state, select the dynamic value, double click or click on this again and apply it. It will automatically change to the existing one. Okay. Now, what is the next action that we have to perform here is, when you click on this button, it should change to a new value. Generally, it should happen on a record, but here I'm just making sure that that gets updated on the same button itself. So in order to do that, there should be an event that should trigger or that should help to change that value. So that's why we have a tab called events here to link this button clicked handler. So for this to handle, we have to define a client script on click of that particular button. So here under the client script, I have already created one client script here to update the label value, which is a very simple statement with the syntaxes over here to set that value as new value. That's it. Okay. So I'm going to link this client script to the button over here using the events. So the process remains the same. Either you're going to do it with the resources, data resources, or anything else. The events is the tab that you need to come. Now I'll click on this and handler, and I'll just select the script that I already have. Clicking on continue, and we can give a trigger condition when you want. Either it is always or when it is conditionally. And I'm clicking on add. And now I'll just go to preview. So on click, it changes the value to new. So generally, this updated value should come on the record. or we can, if you have anything that needs to be displayed, we can do it. So for this demo, I have just updated the value on the button itself. So you people just wanted to give a try?
I'm at HDF.
I think Sujata, you keep continuing. We will get it from the recording and we will work on it.
Okay, recording. Is it working now? Actually, I just have a doubt.
Yeah, record started, Sujata.
Okay.
Let's start.
Because
Yeah, same here, Sujata.
lot of points. So we will work on it after the session.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So because this one I cannot show it as a video because it will become it will not look good. That's why I'm just showcasing it on the instance itself.
Yeah, the class is
The
very
earlier
interesting.
one was a bit easy, but this one is a bit difficult because we have multiple things to be linked.
Yeah, we will listen in the class. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you can just try it parallelly. If not, I'll just continue. Then we can actually try it out if we have time. Okay, yeah. So this is what we just saw on the use case, like how to link a client script to a button component. So what are the next that we are going to see is like how to link a client state parameter to the directly with the event handler and connect it to the component. So this is the next use case that we are going to see. For this, I'll just go ahead and create a new section here. And I'll just bring it within this section. Okay. I'm again going to add a simple component for this. Okay. And I'm just going to add 2 buttons here again. And I'm just going to give an up arrow, 1. And below that, I'm just going to give a same button iconic 1 with a down arrow. That is like an increment and decrement 1. Okay. So now in this use case, what we are going to see is on click of these 2 buttons, how I can update it on the content which is over here. So this is something like how we can like dynamically show any data on click of the action that has been done on the UI builder. So now we have only the default value which is coming up. So let me go ahead and bind this particular component with a dynamic value. For that, I'm going to define a client state parameter first. I'm just going to show the incremental count. So I'm just giving a count. And being a number, I'm just giving it as number and just setting it to 0. Right. Now under this component, I'm going to go ahead and click on bind data, select the client state, and I'm going to add the count. So now I'll be able to see this 0, which is defined there. And I'm going to add an incremental one as well as a decrement function on these 2 buttons in order to show the increment activity. So on this button, you will be able to see a event that can be linked. Second. One moment. One second. show there's no event available. Just give me a minute. I'm just checking on that. Okay. Okay. So here you can see the same kind of button which was been added with respect to the one which we are just working on. So the same iconic button, and I have just added a like event that needs to be connected with this button. So what I did is on the incremental part on the events over here, I've just added one update the client state parameter over here. So we had something called count, and we are actually adding the value to that particular count by giving a data. Let me show you. So we are again using the formulas which is called concatenate. So whenever I increment that particular value, I need to add +1 to that. And whenever I decrement it, it should be having a subtraction of that. So those two parameters has been defined and linked it over here. So now I'll just show you. So whenever I click on this, it just adds a value. So this is something like which would be useful if you wanted to move to a next page or something which you're displaying as an article or a knowledge base within this particular component. You can actually use this icon to move on to the first like up or down page, whichever it is you're feeling, or you can actually use it for an incremental count. That is also can be done. So this is actually with respect to the events as well as the client state parameter and to the component, linking it to the component. So this is with respect to the fourth use case. So the next one is how we can actually bring in the dependent between the components. Like when I do any action on one component, I want the other component to respond for it. So how can I do that? So that in that way, I have actually used the previous component that we have actually configured for incremental one. And then I have a date field that has been fixed over here. So whenever the condition matches to 1, or let me show you, whenever it matches to 1, I wanted to automatically open this particular select date field. So this is like to show how we can communicate between one component to the other. So this one, I'll just show you how it was done. Okay. So similar to how we add all these components, I added a component called date and time component from which is available on the out of the box. After adding this one, we always need to define what is the format you wanted to have the date and time field to match with the instance. So the format that I am actually using on this is like year, date, and month. So that is the format that I have given. And also I need to set a placeholder text what needs to be displayed on that when I'm going to select. So along with it, what I did is I have just used an event again based on the input that needs to be given, or use a client script on change of that particular value to display this particular selection of the date and time. So I have linked this particular exercise which we did in the previous use case along with this select date. Okay, I'll just show you once again. So here, if you see, I have given a count like picker, which should be coming up based on the count is equals to 1. So this count is nothing but whatever we have defined in the previous exercise or the use case, where we are actually concatenating it again, where we are just monitoring when the count is equals to 1. You need to open up this picker. So that's why when I click on this increment, when it moves to 1, it just opens automatically. But if I click more, it is actually not showing up. Only when it matches with the counter, it will just respond. Otherwise, it wouldn't. So these are the 5 things with respect to the connectivity of the data resources, client state parameters, and client scripts. So any doubts or anything you want to clarify?
This is basic question. So, so whatever we are designing here, are they captured in update sets?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Well, the only thing is like you need to make sure that what is the scope that you are using.
Okay.
Okay. So sometimes the scope may differ. So based on that, you need to just create an update set under that particular application scope, and then you need to capture it.
Yeah. Thank you. So is it possible to integrate this page with any of the other resources?
There is a possibility, but I have not done it yet actually. But there should be a possibility. Yeah, definitely.
We should explore those components.
Yeah. So integration part, it's like it's a way huge now actually with respect to this, because even if you move on to the next intermediate session, right, even in that they have not given much about the integration part. They have just given the more complex, like how they have given us. What we saw now is there's a basic things where we can build and what is the usage of these particular components. But if you wanted to dwell more into it, you can even open all these particular records, which is actually linked to different tables, whether they are using a transform or whether they are using a data. All these things have been linked. So this is the next level. Only when we are actually about to do something in the fundamental section, we can move on to this to edit and we can bring the data. So these are the things which we can cover in the next session. Yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, I would just request everyone to just try it out on these things, and you can also try something else also from your end.
Okay. There are a lot of components out there, right? How can we explore and expose ourselves and get familiar with them?
There is a link for all the components where what they are using, and they have given it in the docs itself. What is for what?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll share the link also.
Yeah,
I'll share it in the group. Yeah, there is a link that is being used, because suddenly we will not know what is. See, if I add this button itself, right, there are multiple buttons that has been given. I use a normal button, and there is also something called button iconic. But what is the difference between is what we need to know. When to use what? We know we are not aware of that, right? For all those things, they have given a document actually.
Yeah, thank you. And I have one more question. Sorry, I'm asking.
Yes.
Multiple. So we are creating one page. So is it possible we can connect with our out-of-box workspace? Like we are having some service workspace. We are not yet started the workspace stuff. That's why I'm kind of struggling. So we already having, suppose we have item workspace or item workspace, whatever. So we are creating one custom page. Is it possible to connect our custom page to our out of box workspaces?
Yeah, see, this is the out of the box experience only. Okay. See, what you can do is like within the experience, if you wanted to do anything within the pages, it is possible. But if you wanted to connect the page which is within the service operation workspace to some other experience, that is not possible.
Okay.
So
it should be in that scope.
Sorry?
It should be in that scope of that experience.
Yes. You have to be in the scope. Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah,
you cannot take the page which is defined, because if you see initially when you go to the UI builder, you have all the things, all the tabs that has been segregated, like experience, workspace, and page collections. So all these things are tagged to one set of experience. So you cannot jump between the experiences, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Sujita.
Yeah.
So actually, I had two questions, but you just answered one of them. Is like a page is specific to an experience, can't be used in another experience. Okay. And the second thing is like when we are doing configurations on the page and we are saving it. For example, in business rule, after saving it, I feel like, okay, no, I have to roll back the changes. So we will revert back the version. So in here, On workspace, we do have the undo redo options, but after save as well, still we can do the redo operations if we want to.
That's a very good question, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I haven't tried it actually, but that's a very good one. Yeah, actually, I've tried it only like undo option here, but after save, I don't think so. This will be enabled.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But one thing, what I can say is like with respect to the current version, right? If two of them are actually working on the same page, okay, if you are trying to save, what happens is like it will throw an error message now. Like someone else is
Yeah.
also working on this page, so you want if you save it, it will override their work.
Okay. Yeah, because recently I encountered a scenario where we accidentally changed and saved it, and we want to roll back now, but we were not figuring it out where exactly we need to go in the system to revert it back. Because, for example, flow in Flow Designer, we'll go to some system tables
Correct,
to roll
correct,
back the version, right?
correct.
Something like that. Do we have here as well? Thought of check.
Okay, maybe I can communicate on this to the group itself. Like once I find it out, maybe we even
Sure, sure, no
I have
problem.
not
No.
actually. Yeah, that's a very good one. Actually, I would say because even I didn't get a thought process on this actually, but I can check if there is a way to bring it or not. Yeah.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right. So I'll just move on to the next one. Okay, so with respect to the data resources, client scripts, and client state parameter, it's completed now. So the next one is very like it's not a very tough as what we saw now. Actually, this is like a basic comparison between a UI action as well as a declarative actions. See, a UI action is something which all of us would have worked on when we were in the native UI, and it is mainly used on the core UI part. So, what is specific about the declarative actions actually? Declarative actions are nothing but they are actually very specific only to the workspaces. You cannot see those things if you are configured in for the workspace on the native UI. But there is one good thing which has been introduced here is if you want the functionality of a UI action to be functioning the same in the workspace, there is a place where you can link the existing one with the workspace. Okay. So you no need to create a separate UI action under the declarative actions table in order to showcase it on the workspace. There is a possibility of bringing in the normal UI function, what you have there in the native on the workspace itself. A good example that I could say is like in the out of the box, we actually have a button called retire. Okay, so we have two buttons with the same name on the instance right now. So one of the button which is there on the retire would be working for the native UI, and under the declarative action there is another button which would be showing up on the workspace. In case if you have any specific conditions or modified on the native UI which needs to be replicated or which needs to be worked on the workspace as well, you have an option over here where you can see the workspace tab and you can display like where you want this button to be added and where you want to show this UI action visibility. Is it on the workspace view or service operation workspace, where you want? One thing you need to make sure is whenever you click on either a button or a menu action under the workspace, make sure that this particular checkbox is also set to true if in case it is not automatically set. Because if you just click only if this is being done, it would be showing up on the workspace side. And if you're doing any modification specific to the workspace, you can directly get a record on on this table and you can modify it directly over here. No need to come back to the UI action also. So there would be a record that would be coming up automatically on click of this particular checkbox. Okay. Now I'll just show you how it behaves on this instance. So in the out of the box right now, for any published article, as per the declarative action, you would be able to see it over here. So when I click on retire, there is a confirmation box that would be coming up as per this model that would be linked in the out of the box. So I don't want this activity to be coming up. I want only the native UI functionality that should be coming here without asking me any of the confirmation model over here. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'll go to the UI action, which is the native UI that I'm using. I'll make it as like a form button itself. I'm not going to enter any code. I'll just save it. Now I'll be able to see this retire option here as well as here, because this one is coming up from the declarative action and this is actually coming from the UI action. Okay, now I'll inactivate this so that it not get confused for the users as well. So I'll just go to this particular application space. And I'll just inactivate this. And I'll refresh this record. And now you can see that it is not there. So what is the good thing about this? You no need to rebuild or recreate any of the UI action that you wanted to use on the workspace. You can automatically link using these two options here, which is being given in the out of the box. And if in case you wanted to route it to something within the workspace or something like that, only then you need to add those conditions. Because the functionality in the native UI will not route it to the workspace. This one, you need to modify the syntaxes or the conditions accordingly. So now what happens is, I'll show you, when I click on retire, which is coming from the UI action, you can see that it is not showing up any model confirmation which was showing up before. Now it is working as per my button which was used to do in the native UI. So this is one good thing about the UI action and declarative. Declarative actions come in different forms. One is like form action, list action, related list action, and view actions. So where you want that button and where you need to showcase that button is very like you need to go ahead with the requirements that is coming up, and based on that you need to select that view. So this is all about the UI action and the declarative action, which is like creation of the button. So the next steps for you people would be like, there is a course which is being mentioned in the ServiceNow University called UI Builder Fundamentals. This is the latest one that they have displayed. Please go through it. You will have new set of examples or new set of like what you need to try it out with respect to this exercises that you can try, and you can actually get this accreditation done. So any doubts or anything with today's session?
Question. Kishan, yeah.
Yeah.
So since you just explained about the UI action, which we can convert it as a declarative action there, and in order to do some redirections, we can define script over there.
Correct.
So I just would like to check with you, did you happen to have any use case encountered? Because we recently have one use case encountered where upon click of the button, I need to redirect the user to some other URL. So what happened is like I have defined here with that gnavigation.open instead of means like the redirection is happening like user is taking on the new tab.
Okay.
Is there any possibility that in that workspace tab itself we can load that URL, new URL? Did you ever happen to have?
No, you're asking like it should be within the workspace or it should take you to the new tab?
No, miss, like if I define any URL here, the tab in which my workspace is showing up, in that tab itself, I want to show that new URL. It's taking me to the new tab.
Okay, that's what new tab means. There are two things. See, there is like, this is like, this is within the within the
not this tab. Then it's a browser tab. I mean,
okay, browser tab.
Browser tab.
This one we can do. I do have one link. I'll share it with you.
Yeah, so please, yeah. Actually, I got that use case and I was just searching the community where everywhere it is taking me to the new browser tab instead of loading in the same browser tab.
I'll tell you one quick thing, like for your example. Generally, when you raise and catalog item from the native UI, right? So it takes you to a different page for the checkout. But the same is not going to happen with respect to the within the workspace. So for that scenario, I have to use two different URLs. Okay, one for the native UI one and the other one for the workspace. So in that scenario, I have created a button like that. So for that, I will just give you the syntax what needs to be used.
Sure. And is that syntax something I have to use in the workspace section decline script?
Yes,
Means like
yes. You need to work.
okay.
You need to enter it over here. Correct.
Yeah, okay. That would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll share
Thank
it.
you for that.
No problem.
Sure. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, so we came to the end of the session, and yeah, thank you so much all once again. And thank you, Suresh, for actually, I was pestering you for a few days to just send her the link. But still, thank you so much, everyone, for connecting on the weekend. So I hope this session would have helped. If not,